Yes, this is the Mark Haney Show on a mission to ignite the entrepreneurial revolution right here in the hometown we love. And it's beginning to happen. Startups are beginning to pop up all over the place. The Growth Factory is seizing that opportunity and beginning to invest into those startups. And today on the show, we have one of our portfolio founders. We have Jon Shumate. He is the founder of Remember.us. And on the show today, you're going to hear him talking about this unique product that has, it's the vehicle for the way that we can remember our loved ones, whether they're still alive or maybe they've passed away. This vehicle, this entrepreneurial business is putting us in a position to better remember our loved ones and the people that we miss and the people that we care about. So I think on the show today, you're going to hear a little bit about entrepreneurship, and you're going to hear a little bit about this unique business, but I think you're also going to be inspired. And so some people, one of the things that we've been doing on the show, we've been posting all our shows onto YouTube since the beginning. We are now on Money 105.5. We've been here for a couple of years, but we're also posting it on the other podcast channels and stuff. So if you want to connect up on some of that stuff, just go to the description and click on the links, and feel free to go there. Go to our YouTube. Go to our social media channels. At the Mark Haney is our handle. Again, that's at the Mark Haney. And Jon, during the show today, will share the Remember.us URL so that you can go and connect to him and get involved in what he is doing as well. And we have a little call to action that'll happen. So anyway, stick around, my friends. Get the story of Jon Shumate. He is the founder of Remember.us. And then at the end of the story, I'm going to share a little story about a person that I remember and it kind of came to mind while I was talking to Jon on the show today, and somebody that I miss, somebody that's been an important part of my life. So stick around, my friends. Today you are in for a treat, my friends. Today I have my good buddy, Jon Shumate. He is the founder of Remember.us. And not only is Remember.us a super revolutionary product, idea, concept, the founder, Jon, is this empathetic, sweet, badass of an entrepreneur. He's got that combo thing. Get ready to meet somebody you are truly going to like, and you're going to hear about his business that he's designing, and you're going to say, I want one of these for me. So, Jon, how you doing?
I'm doing so good. It's so good to be here, Mark.
Well, Merry Christmas, a little late. Happy holidays.
Likewise.
When I think about you as a founder, you are one of these empathetic people that really listens well to what other people are feeling, and you turn that into something really productive, and that's what Remember.us is. So maybe I'll let you describe this business that you are building and what inspired you.
Okay, so the easy question first, right? Well, okay, just on a high level, Remember.us is an app, a service that brings together family and friends to tell the story of the life of someone they love. And multiple someones, right? We all have multiple influences. Like, the whole reason I started this is because of my grandmother. And this goes way back. I mean, she helped raise me. I mean, my first memories included her. So, I mean, to say that she had a big influence on my life is to, like, understate it. And 10 years ago, she passed away after losing a 4 or 5 year battle with breast cancer. It was pretty brutal, but she was determined to do things her own way, as she did in her whole life. She's like, I'm going out natural. I'm not going to do chemo. I'm not going to do this stuff. I'm going to do herbs and stuff. And it's, one of those things we saw at the end that, well, this is getting, maybe we can go more into it, but the origin of this is really around remembering her right there at the end when she passed. And, she's, the memorial service is coming up, and I just felt this overwhelming, like, being compelled that, okay, I feel like I have to tell her story. People have to know how cool she was. I mean, this is a woman who traveled the world, took people on survival wild camps into the woods and jungles and taught them how to survive. Like she taught edible wild plants at university for many, many years. Students all over the world love her and know her for this. And, some of my fondest memories of her are just, for example, on the weekends, almost every Saturday after church, we'd go up into the high country. We lived by Yosemite in a little town called Oakhurst, and behind our house basically was national forest. So we'd go to Lewis Creek or high up into the wilds and just hike. And she would always be pointing out what plant was this and what it was good for. That one's good for poison oak. That one's good if you have a cold. That one's good for, like, if you got stung by a bee. And she's like, notice how it's close by. There's a beehive. There's the plant that helps with it. I'm like, Grandma, this is cool.
So you want to help people remember your grandmother and people, other people that other people care about.
Yes.
And right now, describe the difference between Remember.us and the way we do it today. Because it's pretty easy to forget. You go to someone dies and you go to a funeral and they say a few nice things or they don't, and it's over, right? Many times. Right. Maybe there's a video made.
There's a moment where you feel empowered and okay to remember. Like, for instance, my grandmother's memorial service. Okay, so this goes to the product as well. So I remember it was coming up. It was like 2 weeks to go until the service. We wanted to give everyone time to get there. It's up in Kettle Falls, Washington. And I just felt compelled, okay, I have to tell her story. How do I do this? And I realized I had tons of photos of her from her whole life in boxes. So I was like, all right. Went through those boxes, got about 100 photos, and I organized them into sections, like Miriam's childhood, young and full of life, academy years, Southern Missionary College, young bride. And then you see this young person become the grandmother that I knew and loved, And I'm telling you, Mark, like, seriously, I worked on that video for a week. I mean, like, sections with graphics and animated typography, pan and zoom on the photos, like Ken Burns documentaries, famous. Mm-hmm. Beautiful Claude Debussy piano music. I mean, I worked on that thing. Every time I'm watching, I'm like, does this look good? Is the timing right and everything? I'm like weeping the whole week, right? It's like very cathartic doing this. And people came up after the service. We had played it up on the big screen. And they said, man, we've never seen a video. And several people were like, man, we've never seen a video like that before. That's really cool. So, as an entrepreneur, you file that stuff away like, okay, cool. And then I put up a web page where family and friends could come together and just share little text stories about her life, watch the video, and read the eulogy my mother had written. Very beautiful eulogy. So that's what I did for her. And it took me 2 weeks to do both those things by hand. So,
and you've got that kind of background, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, and the funny thing is I used iMovie to do that original movie, and it was still difficult. And just to make sure that I'm not, like totally out of my mind here and that the tech has gotten much better, I tried to do it last year in iMovie the same way just to see how hard it was. Still very difficult.
Takes 2 weeks plus incredible amount of effort and creativity and so on.
Right. Like, if you want to just have a slideshow that's like next, that's very easy to do. But if you want something that like feels like it's beautiful and movement and graphics and everything feels really good.
Evokes the emotion that it's worthy of your grandmother.
Exactly. I like that phrasing because many people, when I ask them about, people they've loved and lost, I've done over 150 in-depth user interviews. And the way that people remember is different, right? Everyone has slightly different stories. Like, going back to your question, that moment of remembering, at the memorial service for ours, I remember we did it at the church there, and they passed around a microphone, and the people who kind of knew her in town, they'd only known her for like 10 years because she'd only been in Kettle. She had moved there from California. This was like her escape, this cabin in the woods where I mentioned to you earlier that my mom now caretakes and has up there. It gets very snowy. That's why she's not there right now. But so they had some fond stories of her, but they hadn't known her as long as many of us. So we were able to share a few stories, but there's this weird thing that happens where you feel pressure in front of people to remember in that moment. Since then, all the people I've interviewed have said, yeah, if they did have a service where they remembered on a mic, they don't remember what they said. They just remember feeling just overwhelming grief and like a little bit of stage fright. Most people
fear
aren't
of public
comfortable
speaking and things like that. Yeah.
So in this like big, like all this feedback, this germ of an idea starts. And the first is like, what if there was a beautiful place outside the noise of the social networks, a place online, a digital place where you could bring family and friends together, invite them privately to actually remember and to celebrate the life of this person that they all love. And what if like the tools were so easy that my mother could use them and she can barely attach something to an email. So in other words, build a video that's just like evokes that emotion, brings it to your heart, and just every time you watch, you're like,
Yeah, I'm going to hit pause for a second here. Yeah, I had a friend die recently, and there was some stuff on Facebook, and I think there's a lot of people that don't chime in on Facebook because, I don't want to sound all mushy on, I've got 1,000 friends, and it's like, I just don't know that I want to do it here. I want to say what I want to say.
Right.
I don't want to say it here.
Man, I'm so glad you said that because that is exactly what people are telling me. You asked about other places to remember, and in Facebook is kind of like the big default, right? Like you think I'm gonna post on here, and we're just, at least you have to post about it, right?
I just direct messaged her, the sister of the guy that died, and it's because I'm gonna post some sentimental thing on Facebook. Well, that was me, my own insecurities. Didn't want to do it.
But you're not alone. Like everyone feels this way. Like Facebook is just, it's a lot of things, right? It does a lot. And it feels noisy. Like you're scrolling through your feed, there's political ads and then commentary posts, there's pictures of people partying, and then grandma. Like it just feels weird. Like it's not a place, a beautiful place to remember. And we've heard this over and over. You're not alone. You'll notice on Facebook, what often happens is someone will post about someone's passing, and nearly all the comments, and now that I'm telling you this, just watch for it because it happens a lot. All the comments will just be general condolences. Like, I'm so sorry for your loss. You're in my thoughts and prayers. He or she was such a great person. And maybe once in a while, someone just shares a little tiny couple lines, like a story. But Mark, where are all the stories? Like, we all have 100+ stories that we could share. And when I've interviewed these users, like in preparing this, version 1 beta launch, people want to share. They just don't want to do it on Facebook. They don't have a place for it. So what is happening? That's the question I've been asking myself. We need better tools. We need a better place to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can go up and say something verbally to somebody, or maybe it's a phone call or something, but you want to save the way that you felt while it's fresh for you, and you can convey it with everything you have, and then have it preserved in that form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the first version, getting back to the product, you can create, and I mean this, in less than 5 minutes, you can create a beautiful website, a page dedicated to that person. We have 10 different themes at launch. We're adding many more themes because every loved one has different taste. For my grandmother, it's just beautiful white flowers. For my grandfather, it'd be this beautiful white mountains because he was a mountaineer. So something for everyone to match your loved one's personality and who they were. And the page, as you scroll down, and like we can link in the show notes, like a demo for this and everything. Okay. But basically, it starts with this beautiful animated header that evokes nature. Because when you think about it, why do we bring flowers to the graves of our loved one? Why do we adorn flowers in the services? Why do we go back to nature? Why do we do that? There's something about the beauty of it, the vitality of it. I don't have a full. I'm sure there's like in-depth answers we can do on this, but you just feel it.
When my mom died, we ended up planting a tree on our property, and so I drive out there on my my side by side and say hi to my mom. I'm talking to the tree, but it's like I'm talking to my mom.
Yeah, I love that actually. Yeah. I heard about another startup, a Better Place Forest, that actually will pick a tree in an epic forest and put ashes. There's like a fairy ring, they call it, around the tree, so you can go to it like a preserve. It's kind of cool, but on your own property, it's right there. You can go there all the time.
Yeah, I think you're not supposed to put ashes you're not supposed to just dump them anywhere. There's a law. I may or may not have dumped a few of my mom's ashes by the tree. I can't really confirm or deny.
Don't know for sure. Yeah. So going back to the product, this beautiful page, you invite family and friends. It starts with this beautiful animated header as you scroll, and it feels at first like when you first load that page, like it's beautiful. That's the first word that people describe, like, wow, that's beautiful. So 90% of the people I've talked to have someone they want to remember using our service. That's kind of That's a little crazy when you think about it. 90%. Some don't want to think about death, so they're like, or think about celebrating life, because that's really what it's about. It's not death, it's celebrating life. But maybe they don't want to think about it, and it's not for them. That's the 10%, but 90%. And many of the ones that they said they want to remember had passed away years ago. So this is very interesting. Getting back to your point of like, there's a moment in time to remember. There is, and there's a freshness to that. When it happens, you're like emotional and you want to get some things out, or maybe you don't. Like I had a friend of mine that I interviewed for this, and she said, when my mom passed, and this is like 13 years ago, she couldn't look at a photo of her for the first year. Just could not do it. It was too painful. But then she said, but over time, there was a moment that, time kind of blunts the edge of that pain a little bit. And every time now she sees a photo, she's just overcome with joy. So she's ready to remember. So everyone grieves differently and should be allowed to grieve differently.
And so it's never too late. It could be way in the future, and you still might want to say a memory. Yeah. So
this is the direction that we're being pushed. So as we've been interviewing users, they look at the page like, this is beautiful. And then the fact that they can create a truly emotional, like delivers that emotional, like, oh man, I feel this beauty of this life, this life story video. And you can do it with no technical skills or videography. Just drag your photos in, put them in the order, 2 final portraits, click a music track. We have 17 amazing tracks, and publish, and it's done in 10 minutes.
Whoa.
It's amazing. And then so that you can get this high quality result that brings people together.
You got a real technical product there, because there's this empathetic. We're talking about sharing stories, but you have a way to make a video. Part of the secret sauce is you have a way to make a really great video super easy.
Yeah, I just went off of like when the very first feature set was like, what did I do for my grandma? How can I make that easy? And so it was this beautiful website and a beautiful video builder. Now, as I've showed that to people, like that has resonated. 90% of the people I talk to want to use it. I mentioned that. But when I ask, what else would you want to do? What else could you see doing? The number one, and I mean number one feature request over and over and over was the idea of recording stories. So think about this for a second. We all have these memories. I mentioned that there's probably 100 plus memories that you have of people that you're not going to share on Facebook. You just don't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel like the right place. You want to share them. Like when I talk to people, they all want to share with the people they care about, a close circle. But why aren't they doing it on Facebook is clearly not the place for it. So our upcoming product is video stories. You just look straight into the camera on your phone or on your laptop, and you answer a prompt like, what was your first memory of Miriam? Or what was something she used to say? Miriam's my grandmother. She had all sorts of things she liked to say. One was, like, if you asked her how she was doing, she'd be like, oh, going along, singing a song. And she would do it sing-song, like that was her thing.
Yeah, Marianisms.
Yeah, one of many. My mom and I chuckle. She's visiting for the holidays, and it's been fun, actually, talking over this project, but also just remembering grandma. And, that's something you do over the holidays, right? The people that aren't with you, they come up in conversation. We want to remember, right?
They do. So one of the things is, so you joined the Growth Factory back in September, which means you and I are business partners, which I'm proud of. So I know a little bit more because we through the cohort process, you come in on a regular basis and we get updates on your business and that kind of thing. So I know a little bit more about you and your business, but I haven't really spent a lot of time one-on-one throughout this process with you. So this is, and asking you, because I want to relate this to me personally too. Yeah. So I may have told you though, in one of our little one-on-ones, that I built Scott over there, my AV guy, he built a website for
Scott.
Our family. Yeah, Scott, and
Is this the Haneyville?
Haneyville.com.
Marcus was just showing me this a little bit.
Did you get on our website?
Yeah, and he was just showing me. He had to log in. There's like a
vault. There's a vault with a password if you want to see the good, the juicy stuff.
Mark, the funny thing is,
website, man.
Yeah, you already, you naturally wanted to do it. You had the means to do it, right? You had someone you could be like, I need help with this. I'm willing to throw some money at this. Please build this for me. Not everyone has that, right? What if we can make it easy?
But let's say I build something on your site. Yeah. Can I link to my site?
Sure.
Do you have a linking mechanism with that?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can link. The cool thing about this service is when you create this page, It's invite only. So you can invite family and friends. You can give them a specific link, or it's just put in their email, and you can bring on another admin to help you like manage things, another editor, or just a general member, and just like come in and help us remember.
Well, that's why I like it, because Haneyville is there's no way for other people to comment or type stuff in, right?
Yeah.
They can't join the community, right? It's our private thing. And Scott's really the only admin. And so the rest of us got to go tell Scott if we want to get something put on the website. Right. With what you've done, everybody, it's a community. So you get invited in, and then people can share those stories and basically upload to the site, which is really cool because it makes it more interactive versus like the static site that we all go view with Scott's work.
Yeah, we wanted this service to be something that was a living celebration of life. So it's like it pulls you back time and time again. Like, for instance, if you're 6 months after someone's passing, and this is the crucial thing here, the feedback we've gotten is people want to remember before their loved one passes as well. So this isn't just celebrating life after death. This is like 360 degrees. And what I mean by that, it's like before death, like I can't tell you what I would give to have my grandmother's stories, video stories, on video, audio, in her own words, remembering things from her life. Like, the fact that I didn't think of that before, it really bugs me. Every time I think of it, I'm like, man, that was an opportunity lost. I have a lot of her stuff when she was younger on video because she did a lot of, courses and different things. But my point is, being able to have this, make it easy to upload any photo or video you have of your loved one. This is our upcoming feature roadmap. Let me just outline it real quick. Okay. Our version 1 has this beautiful page. It's beautiful. It feels like it matches your loved one. You can build a life story video, put it right on the page, have the eulogy section, click to expand it. There's a built-in Skype video conference room, or you can change it to have a Zoom link or Google if you want, and you can schedule that. So you can say like, hey, let's get together. Let's put this on our calendars. Let's actually put it in our calendars to get together to remember grandma at this moment in time, her birthday, maybe the day of her passing, whatever date you want.
This is part of the roadmap.
No, that's actually in version 1. That's right now.
Right now, okay.
And we just, the Skype is built in free. You don't even have to download Skype to use it. And if you want to switch it to Zoom, you can. But that's all built in there. And then a place for text stories like sharing comments. Now, where are we going from here? Based on the feedback, we're doing the video stories next. So basically, you're going to be able to upload all photos and videos you have. You're going to be able to answer a prompt like I mentioned, what's your first memory of Miriam? What was something she used to do that made you laugh? Like many prompts that can like pull memories out of your head, unlock the memories that are actually just kind of locked in there. Sometimes you talk about them. Like my mother's down here. I mentioned I talked a little bit with her about grandma, but there's so many memories in there that if you ask the right question, as you know, as an interviewer, the question can trigger things. Different ways that you ask the question can trigger memories. And you should be able to share those at any time. A year later, 2 years later, 3 years. I mean, there's no cap on when on remembering. So you should be able to have it on your phone. Like, I just remembered something I haven't thought of in 10 years about this person. Let me record it right now. Yeah. And then because your family and friends are all members of that page, they get a notification. They get a daily email digest if there's new content that day, and they're pulled into it. Then they can respond, they can comment,
so
they can record a video
like
story.
Social media, really.
Exactly, but it's all private.
Yeah.
So we're Facebook for family, you could say. It started as remembering just a life after someone passed, but then it starts to go as you get user feedback. You realize, wait. I've had people that I describe this to. They're like, wait, that's basically like Facebook for family.
Facebook for family, yeah, that's what it sounds like. Now, is it going to be a situation where, I'm jumping in questions about the roadmap, where I click on to remember.us, and then I've got 17 people that whose lives are being celebrated, and I might flip from each of those because I want to make sure I do a little patty caking with each of my little league buddies who we lost our, at my age, we're starting to lose people, right? So you want to,
we're getting older.
Yeah.
Right?
You want to you want to reach out to those people that you were in All-Stars with or whatever.
Yeah. From the version 1 right now that's public, when you log in and you create a page, that shows up in your dashboard, there's 2 sections, family, friends.
Okay.
And our vision of this is that you're going to want to remember many people. Not just one. It's going to be many. Like, how many people can you think of? Like, if we just go off the top of our heads right now, how many people do you think of that, like, you would have stories to talk about?
20.
Right?
20 that have died already, and 20 to 50 that I've got hundreds probably of people that are alive.
Right. Right. People that you
I know
can
a lot
remember.
of people. It's good.
Yeah.
What's what happens when you got a show and you're old? You meet a lot of people.
So, I mean, the cool thing, and each of those people have, like, the saddest thing is you mentioned the people that have passed first, like that lower number. As you get older, less and less people are still alive that remember them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
like, I'm thinking about my grandmother. Like, my aunt passed last year, and we actually used the private beta version of our product to remember her. She didn't have a lot of photos, so my cousin Abby was like, look, I don't have a lot. I'm not going to be able to do a lot of albums like with different titles and put photos in each one and tell the story of life. Let's just create one album. We called it A Beautiful Life, and then we dumped photos in any order possible. And it was still, Mark, it was still beautiful, like the result. So, but my point is to remember my grandmother, for instance. My aunt and all her memories now are now lost to us. So, I mean, getting memories, actually, it makes me just saying that out loud and just brings a lot of sorrow, because you're just like, man, like there's so much there that she could have shared and she would want to share. And I wish we could have gotten those, from her. And not only just about my grandmother, but about her own life. And that's also where this is going. I mean, think about this. When you look at, say, the market size, and switching a little bit to your business hat, right? Because we're business partners, this accelerator, we're trying to bring this to market. There's 2.5 million people that pass each year in the U.S., roughly, a little bit more than that. Based on our user feedback, people want to remember the loved ones that have passed 10, 15 years ago and more. There's no time limit. So there's like 35 plus million that have passed, that likely have 3 to 5 people still alive that want to remember them. There is a moment at passing where you're compelled to remember. There's that moment, right? The sorrow, you want to get through it. But there also is, we want to show people, and we know this is real based on user feedback, they want to remember even years later. And there's like this time pressure of like, well, let's remember then before we forget. Like, Mark, what if our memories didn't have to fade? And so what if we had a platform that was dedicated to pulling them out in a place, in an environment that really felt safe? You know that and that's really the downfall of Facebook for this. They just aren't a great place. It's not a safe place. Yeah. So yeah, lots of memories, lots of people and family and friends that you can remember all in one dashboard.
Okay, so if we put on the business hat for a second. Okay, so it sounds like a great product. It's available today. Yeah. Is it available? I mean, let's say we have somebody in our audience. Somebody could come up and use it now.
Right now.
And they could buy it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do want to say this.
Yeah.
While we just launched the public beta, and while we're in this public beta for the month of January, and we can extend it to February. I think this was maybe going to air later in the month.
Okay. Yeah.
So I want to, invite people to go to beta.remember.us.
Okay. Beta.remember.us. Okay.
Just put in your name and email, and we'll send you a free account.
Oh.
I mean, we want you to try it for your family. Use it multiple times. Like, create multiple life story pages and upgrade them with the code we're going to send you.
Okay.
That way, as we're adding all these features, we have an incredible roadmap coming up. And it's like, as we add them and it gets richer and richer and richer, we want you to be able to use it for free. So to all your listeners and all the family in Sacramento, please use it. Take advantage of it. We want you to. We appreciate it.
So right now it's a free product because it's like pre-launch.
Exactly. It won't be that way for very long. Like I mentioned, just maybe a couple months while we're doing this. But our business model is pretty simple. We've been testing pricing, asking users. There's a difference, of course, between what users say they'll pay and what they actually pay, and we're going to find that difference. But the average that they've said they would pay for this premium service, right? The beautiful page, the beautiful life story builder, and then the upcoming features of like unlimited photos and videos, unlimited video stories, and unlimited family and friends coming together to remember that one person. The average is over $150.
I'm not surprised that it's that's the number. We went out and my wife turned 50 a few years back, and we went out, and one of the things she was going to do is we did 50 things that she had never done before, and one of them was like, we're going to go pick out our caskets and all the do all the funeral arrangements.
For her
I'm
birthday?
like, you're only 50. Yeah, we did 50 things. We did
present.
some different. Well, she wanted to do it. She did all kinds of crazy stuff, and so at one point we had trouble thinking up 50 a new thing, right? Because 50 things you've never done before in your life, and that was one she chose. But my point on this is that we went over there to Wageman's, and great people over at the funeral home, but there's a whole array of choices that you could spend 50 grand on getting probably more.
True.
I don't even know what it is. I don't even know what we paid, but it was a few grand, and we went out and picked out our cemetery plot and all that. When you die, and it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So we wanted to she wanted to prepay that so our kids didn't have to, fork out the cash. So generous of her.
That's so generous.
Like she's planning my death.
That's funny because my grandmother actually planned for it too. She's like, I'm getting an insurance policy just for my passing so that you'll have, because the average cost is between 7 and 10 grand.
Okay.
And that includes, when you factor in cremation and stuff like that. So it's expensive.
Yeah, so what she wanted to get it all handled. So when you say $150 or whatever, it's like, come on, that's like
right.
That's a fraction, not even a percent of like what most people are going to be paying.
We want to make it accessible. I mean, we don't want to nickel and dime people. We don't want to show ads. And by the way, I want to mention this. This is a stake in the ground for us because showing ads changes all your reasons for doing things. Facebook is the way it is. Its algorithm is the way it is. It reinforces a lot. And you've probably seen stories about negativity being enhanced on Facebook, being pushed because it's more controversial and it creates more engagement, which creates more ad revenue.
Right.
When you have ads, your motives change. So I'm kind of going down the ad route here, but I just want to say it real quick. Our two biggest, and they're kind of the original, like legacy.com and tributes.com, which they purchased in 2015. They actually usually don't have a relationship with the end user. They only reprint obits that are printed in newspapers, and it's a big business for them. Why is it a big business? Because they show ads all over your page, and they do it most of the time without the family knowing at all.
Oh, wow. So their revenue model is ad-based. Their customer is not the family.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, they're just relying on like people putting it in Google search and then coming through, and they just want to sell you flowers and show you ads, and it's
And they
gross.
do it the same way as like Facebook does, where the most interaction gets more ads or that type of thing, the most engagement.
Well, they're not even that sophisticated.
Oh, okay.
They're just like, we're just going to throw something up, reprint it, and like I have this in my deck. You may have seen it recently in at the accelerator like meetings, but I have two examples, one from tributes.com, one from Legacy, of their page. And it's just like the loved one that they're celebrating is this tiny little picture. Above all that is ads, links to the funeral home, links to the newspaper. And then if you scroll down, more ads, like at least 3 more. And it's just gross.
Right.
So this is why when people tell me, and they've told me multiple times, like I looked around for a way to memorialize, to create this digital tribute. I didn't find anything that even came close to matching my loved one. So I'm just going to do it later.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it. Nothing was available.
What about on, it seems to me that you're controlling the potential controversial type of comment. Let's say I died and people said, that guy, he loved entrepreneurs. I don't believe in business or whatever. Who knows? Someone put something negative on my, on my page or whatever. Everybody likes me. But in case there was somebody that didn't, because there are celebrity controversial type people out there that people chime in on, and it's negative. And what are you supposed to do about it if you're the family? You don't want to read this stuff about people saying negative things about if you're a politician or something. This is protected, though, because you have to be invited, and you control the content to a certain extent.
So, okay, it is invite only. And even still, I have gotten some feedback, and we have it on a roadmap now, the ability to actually turn on moderation even inside of your own private group that you've invited. Because I've had multiple people say, well, what about crazy Uncle Joe? Like if he just gets, he shares something one night that's just like totally inappropriate.
Not that photo.
Like not that one, please. Yeah. And so what can you do? Like, I mean, you're able as the admin to delete any content at any time, and it like removes it. It's a soft delete. It removes it. You can reinstate it if you want. Only an admin can. But my goodness, if it actually goes out in that daily digest email and the whole family sees it before the admin can delete it, it's like, so moderation is on our roadmap. Now, what's exciting about this? I'm very excited about the idea of, like, there are public figures. Like, you're a public figure now, Mark, in this area. There are people close to you that have memories, family and friends. And then there are people that are maybe acquaintances and have memories in ways that maybe you influence their life, maybe you're not even aware of. Yeah. That it would be fun to hear from. So one of the things on our roadmap for this year, at the end of the year, Like do you know who Betty White is?
Yes.
This is I'm going to put this
Golden
out
Girls
in the universe.
and Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah, I'm going to put this out in the universe. I want to work with Betty White. Like, I want
She's
her.
still alive, huh?
She's still alive. She's
Wow.
having a 100th birthday.
Oh, goodness.
She said the secret to her youth is staying away from green things.
She's hilarious.
Don't eat your veggies.
She is
funny.
Hilarious.
But I saw a photo of her. I don't know. I think it was from the 60s. And because, you know, we do love celebrities. We do love celebrity culture. How interesting, though, would it be to get actual memories from the family and friends who knew them, and they could mark, like, is this memory for just family and friends, or is it for public consumption? So that there's a public view of a page that you can see public, safe to see for public, you know, stuff that it's meant to be shared. And then what if the person themselves, before they pass, could actually, like, Betty White has this photo of her with this black tap dancer in the 60s, and she was actually a pioneer for civil rights, because in a way she had a show, and this was a friend of hers, and he was extremely talented, and she had him on multiple times. And I read that one of the reasons her show got canceled because the executives were like, "You're having on too much."
Oh gosh.
Like, and this is, I mean, look, this is just like the 60s. It wasn't that long ago, but here's this lovely picture of her, like, laughing with him, and he's like kind of dancing. It's like, I want to know the story behind that picture.
Yeah.
So what if all the photos and videos from her life, what if she could, like, upload them to the shared library and then record a video story on each one? Like, she's a national treasure. She's America's grandma, Mark.
Yeah.
And
I never thought of that, but yeah.
Hilarious, salty grandma. Like, so, I mean, I don't know. My goal is to be the platform to remember. Whether that's just someone that no one, you know, is not famous at all, and it's just family and friends invited, or even a public profile, but remembered in a truly rich way, like a true way, not just like, here's something a writer from the New York Times put up, and here's a couple of pictures, and that's all you get. Wait for the biography if there is one.
All right. Okay, so what else do we need to know? Do we need to remind our audience of any of the beta website again?
Remember.us.
Beta.remember.us.
That's right.
A couple extra dots there.
Yeah.
Beta.remember.us.
Yeah.
And then from there, I get on and I get to use. I could make my own videos. I could take somebody who, like my father-in-law is in hospice right now. But he's still coherent, and he's good to go. From a communication standpoint, I could start one on him right now with that and start uploading videos.
In fact, one of the people I interviewed it was really cool. He came up to me after this presentation. It was actually at a 1 million cups presentation. He goes, Jon, I can tell you're building this, that you've experienced this thing, because I've gone through this myself. I'm the guy in my family that everyone comes to do the videos. Mm-hmm. He's like, you're solving this problem because it is a lot of work to get all the content pictures together. It is a lot of work to create the video, and it's a lot of work later to be the source of the video. To be like, I lost a DVD. Can you send me can you make me another DVD?
Yeah, now it's in the cloud, right? So it's permanent.
And so he just said, he's like, this is beautiful. And he wanted to share a story, and it was that he had created a video for his 95-year-old dad while he was still here, and showed it to him. And what a kick his dad got out of seeing his life celebrated like that. So speaking to your
maybe make the video now.
Yes.
Get him to capture his stories for us for now. If I can get Scott over there with the camera, or maybe I'll hold my iPhone up or something, and we'll record some stuff. But then if we made the video now, maybe even that's a great idea. I mean, I've heard of people doing that before, but I hadn't brought that up to my wife yet, so I will.
Well, it's kind of like when you think about, I mean, we don't, you know, we the living, when we're healthy, we don't think about all this all the time. But when someone is in hospice or you're getting older, you know it's happening. It's not like you know what's happening. And how would you prefer to go out on the well wishes and love of your family and friends, or alone? And frankly, in this environment, the last couple of years with COVID, I mean, it was bad before, right? We needed this fixed before, but then we had people basically dying alone in their hospital rooms. Family and friends can't even visit, and then you can't even get together in a large number to remember them afterwards. So we already needed this solution. We already had a problem with that, and we needed help remembering, but COVID just made it incredibly even worse. So do that video now. Just watch it together. Like, have him know that, like, man, my family, he knows you guys care about him, but seeing his life like that, it is fun. It reminds him of, yeah, I've lived a good life.
All right. So let's last question, and as we think about our audience to this show, we can all relate. This is one of those shows I think that's relatable to everybody.
Yeah.
But in terms of our entrepreneurial audience, any advice to people like you've built a success? We didn't even get into your background. You've built a successful startup before, had a nice exit, and so on. Then you're coming back through and doing it again, baby. Get after it. You got the fever. Can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Any advice to the next one in line, the up and comer?
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. There's so much. I mean, as you know, startups, you get punched in the face a lot, and everyone's got a plan. Who said that? Mike Tyson? Like, you got a plan until you get punched in the face. So it's know that like the ups and downs will happen. There's no way to stay amped 100% of the time. There just isn't. So pick an idea that you really want to work on, that you really believe in, because there's been moments where it's like where I felt the subject matter of the thing I'm doing, like, man, this is a hard subject, and I'm trying to transform it from being something that's about death and loss to being about celebrating life. Like, our tagline is life celebrated, love remembered. So I'm trying to I feel like I'm trying to transmute it from being something that's sometimes negative to being something that's very positive and that can empower us. So my point is, in the moments where it feels heavier or harder than, you have those days, I go back to first principles of why I'm doing this. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember my grandmother, I remember what I did for her. I remember, and frankly, this goes to another piece of advice, talking to users, all the feedback. Like, if I ever feel at all, just like heavy about the subject, or like you have a day where it's like, man, today was rough, talking to a user almost immediately evaporates it. Because by and large, especially with this project, people just, it hits you in the feels. Like, you feel it because everyone has someone close to them. Like, I talk about these, that how we stand on the shoulders of the giants of the heart, like that have, think about your own life, like the amount of people who invested so much time and love and energy into you, Mark, to make you who you are. You have a natural spark, but
sometimes it was tough love.
Sometimes that's the best kind, right? Like, I've had some of that myself. And it's just like, remembering them it's not only that they deserve to be remembered. And this gets back to the advice to entrepreneurs, like, just to have a mission. Because remembering, for us, our mission of remembering, it's not just that they deserve to remember these ones we care for. It's that it does us so much good to remember them. It reminds us literally of like where we came from, and that we have so much to be grateful for. So try to do something that you're passionate about, because if you're not, you're not gonna be able to go through all the ups and downs that inevitably will happen. And then the second thing is just a team. Get a good team as quickly as you can. Even if they are part-time, find the true believers that will stick with you. Like, a lot of my staff right now, 10X engineers, several of them are part-time, but as good as 2 engineers full-time, and I have them investing on equity. As soon as I found the true believers that were amazing, I was like, I want you in, even if I can't hire you yet.
Find your first true believer and lock them up.
Yes. Even if it's part-time, get them in there, give them equity that's vesting, and make them a part of the mission.
I love that. I love the you're going to get punched in the face, so fall back on your mission and your purpose. That's for sure. But find a true believer. I like that. I like that characterization of your first employee or your second employee is get a true believer, because if your inner circle needs to believe like you believe in what you're doing, and that's huge. And nobody wants to build something alone. So
it's not that you don't want to, it's that, but you can't do it alone. Yeah, like, it's very, very rare, and even the ones that seem like they're alone usually have some help in some way. So like, no man is an island, right? It's a team sport, this startup building.
No question. Jon Shumate, remember.us, beta.remember.us for your free usage.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Mark, thank you.
You betcha. Welcome back to the Mark Haney Show. And again, today was had a touch of sentimentality, a touch of, I think Jon even got a little bit choked up partway during the show, and because he's talking about people he cares about, his business, remember.us, puts any of us in a position to remember the people that we love, the people that potentially we've lost, or even the people that, are in our lives today, and we want to celebrate their life. And, I touched on my father-in-law who is in hospice, and, what's it going to be? Hospice, for anybody that hasn't dealt with that before, when you go into hospice, your time is limited, and you sort of want to capture every moment during those times. And I remember when my mom went into hospice, I also touched on the show about driving out to the tree. There's this tree that is in memory of my mom that we planted right in the middle, not in the middle, at a key focal point inside Haneyville, which is our new family compound that we are manufacturing. So if you come into Haneyville, you will see this magnolia tree, because my mom lived in this court, and it had this. It was like a cul-de-sac, and right in the middle of our front yard was this magnolia tree, and that tree, it grew and grew and grew over the years, and started off as kind of like a smaller magnolia tree, similar to the one that's planted right in the middle of Haneyville right now. And after, I don't know, 20, 30 years, however long she lived there, we lived there as I was a kid, that tree got big. It became a big magnolia tree, and it was on a street called Magnolia Court. And so my mom passed away a few years ago, and how do we remember her? We didn't do a funeral for my mother. She had an aneurysm years before, and many of her friends had sort of dropped a little bit out of her life, and that was 20, 30 years ago. And so there really wasn't a lot of people to invite to a funeral that were still involved in her life. So what do? We decided to plant this magnolia tree. And so now when I go to my family compound, when I go to Haneyville, I get the opportunity to remember my mom. I get the opportunity to remember the person that encouraged me. I was a C student from Oakmont High School, voted most likely to be a bum. I was that guy. I threw great parties. My brothers and sisters were all straight A students, so I was this black sheep of the family, if you will. And my dad, I think, was always a little discouraged with my most of what I did, other than maybe football. I was a pretty good football player. But my mom, she sort of said, use that gift, right? You're good at throwing parties. You're good on the social side of things. Utilize that. Do something with that. You're smarter than your brothers and sisters, just in a different way. And I was like, what? I never really believed that, I don't think, 100%, but it still felt good to hear it. So my mom ended up being my confidant. Instead of going to my dad with the tough problem, I would go to my mom. Up until the time she had her brain aneurysm, I would go to my mom with any problem. I mean, even after I got married, and my mom had her brain aneurysm when I was probably about 26, 27. Had been married 4 or 5 years, had a couple of kids, and I'd still go to my mom. Mom, what do you think? She was still that best friend to me. And so when she had the brain aneurysm, in many ways, I felt like I sort of lost her, because she changed a lot. She wasn't quite the same. But when I go to the tree, when I remember my mom, the one that encouraged me. I remember the person that my friends thought was the coolest mom in the world. I get to go out there now regularly and see her. So I have to thank my man Scott over here that's to my right. He's the guy that helped put the tree together. Our other project management person, Jim, he ended up planting the tree, and the tree almost died. There was a point in time where we were having trouble getting water to the tree, or something happened, and the tree went from having leaves on it to withering. And I'm like, don't worry, guys, my mom will be okay. And Jimmy and Scott nursed her back to life. And now the magnolia tree that is the way that I remember my mom is flourishing. It's still a small tree because it's only been planted for a few years, and magnolias grow a little bit on the slow side. But it's there, and I go out to Haneyville virtually every day to check on the construction of our effort out there. And you know what? It's a way that I remember my mom. So if you're out there and you have somebody that you remember, that you want to remember, and you don't want to lose that memory, I think Remember.us is a great way to bring other people together. I think planting a tree is a way that is captured the essence of my mother for me. But I hope that you, especially as we think about why we do what we do, why we build companies, who gave us the strength, who gave us the courage, who gave us the encouragement along the way, remembering them with gratitude is not only the right thing to do for them, it's healthy for us. It makes me feel good to remember my mother. So to all of you out there that have memories that need to be solidified in some way, need to be memorialized in some way, I love you. I respect you. Many of you are entrepreneurs out there, and you know I salute you. And I know you know our mantra that started with me and Marcus early on, that when he came back from Afghanistan. Our salute to all of you out there. We're never above you. We're never below you. We're always by your side.
Thanks for watching today's show. My goal for every episode is that you find a takeaway, something tangible you can use in your business today. And if you have a comment about a favorite takeaway, feel free to put it in the box below. And if you have a topic that you'd like me to bring up on the show, don't forget to let me know. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about entrepreneurship. Because at Haney Biz, we are always by your side.